Hello and welcome to this video. My name is Chinedu Abwim, and in this video I'm going to be talking about the new labor laws in the UAE. This video is going to be a two-part video. I'm going to be taking the first set of labor laws, and then in the next part I'll do the second set, and that will basically give you an idea of the new labor laws that the UAE introduced in February this year. So in this channel, I bring to you tips, ideas, wisdom, keys, job opportunities and business opportunities, everything that you would need in order to prosper and to thrive in the UAE. So today, I start with the first new changes to the labor laws in the UAE, and that has to do with the work patterns. Now, the UAE has started to recognize that across the world, flexible work patterns are now becoming the norm. So instead of having things like full-time work, there are other work patterns that are now being clearly recognized. They already exist in other parts of the world, but they are being recognized fully in the UAE. And the first one is part-time work. So part-time work has to do with work that you don't need to do all days of the week, all working days of the week. The hours are determined between you and your employer, or the days of work are determined between you and your employer. The second kind of recognized work pattern is the temporary work pattern. Now, this is the kind that is normally project specific. So you're required to do a particular work or job on a temporary basis, and then after that job or assignment is done, the work contract is terminated. Then the third type of work pattern that is now recognized formally by the UAE government is the freelancing, the freelance work pattern. And this one is also like the flexible work pattern, because you basically have a lot of flexibility to deliver on certain tasks based on the agreement that you and your employer have. So this has now been introduced in the new UAE law that came into force on the 2nd of February this year, 2022. The second thing that has been introduced in these new labor laws is that we no longer have fixed term contracts or unlimited contracts like in the old, but now all contracts in the UAE, all employee contracts are going to be fixed term, and the maximum term for that contract is 3 years. So what the UAE government stipulated is that after the 3 years, if your employer wants to still continue having you in their employment, they can extend the contract by another 3 years. But from now, there's nothing anymore like unlimited contract. All contracts are going to be fixed term, and the maximum term is 3 years. So this is the new thing that has been introduced by the UAE government in these new labor laws. They also said that they are giving all employers till February 2023, that is next year. So 1 year from February this year, by 2023, they are giving all employers that window to transit everybody who is on an unlimited contract. Unlimited contract talks about an employment where you just keep working and working and working for as long as you desire, or maybe your employer wants to keep you employed. They're saying that everybody must now be transited to the fixed term contract, whereby your contract term has a fixed term and the maximum is 3 years, and they give 1 year. So by February 2023, all employers in the UAE should have transited all their employees who are on unlimited contracts to the fixed term contract. Now, they also mentioned a very important point, because there is what is called end of service gratuity. So when people work for a particular length of time and they resign, they normally are given an end of service gratuity. So the UAE government said that even if it's a fixed term contract, as far as it keeps on being renewed, whenever they are calculating the amount of money to give you as your end of service gratuity, they will treat all those renewals as if it's one whole length of service that you've given to the company, and then calculate the gratuity based on all that length of time. Even if it's 5 renewals, even if it's 3 renewals, they'll lump it together and then calculate your gratuity based on that length of time that you've offered service to the company, and then pay you for it. So I think that's also a very considerate one on the part of the UAE government. Another important point in this new labor law has to do with probationary period. So when you're employed, normally you'll be on a 6-month probationary period before you're fully absorbed as a full staff in the company. Now, the new labor law stipulates that peradventure you want to terminate your appointment or your employment before the 6-month probationary period expires, you must give your employer 14 days notice. It also said that if you now terminate that employment and move to a new employment, the new employer has the right to demand the old employer to pay the recruitment costs that were used to recruit you into that old employment that you were staying that probationary period for. And it said that there's a 3-month window given within which the new employer can demand for that payment for the recruitment process. So what it just means is this: if you're on probation in a company and peradventure you find a new job before your 6-month probation ends, you must give 14 days notice at least before you leave. And then the new person that is going to employ you will have to pay the old person the cost of your recruitment. Now, when it comes to work times and work hours, the new labor law stipulates that every employee must have at least 1 day in a week free to rest. That one is stipulated by law. And the day of the week is allowed to be discussed between you and your employer. So it's a flexible time. It's not fixed. It's not just Friday or Sunday or whatever the case may be. It's to be discussed between you and your employer. But every employee is entitled to at least 1 day of rest every week. Your work hours are to be 8 hours a day or 48 hours in a week. And the maximum overtime hours you're allowed is 144 overtime hours in a 3-week window. So you're no longer allowed, or the new labor law says that you must not be forced to work more than 8 basic or static hours every single day. If the length of time is going to increase, if your employer is demanding that you work more than 8 hours, then those extra hours must be counted as overtime and you should be paid for it. Now, they put a maximum cap on the overtime hours as 144 hours in a 3-week period. And they also stipulated in the new labor law that the overtime must be calculated based on your basic salary. So please take note of that. So in the next video, the part 2 of this video, I'm going to be now looking at all the other aspects of the new labor law. So make sure you don't miss part 2 for any reason. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do well to subscribe. If you also like the kind of content that I'm bringing to you in this channel and it helps you in any way, you could click the like button and also drop a comment. I would really appreciate that. And let's take it from there. So please, next video, I'm going to conclude the second part of these labor laws. Stay tuned for it and see you then.